right, we are live streaming. We're streaming live. We're live streaming. Here we go. All right,
hey guys.
Woo!
Whoa, where's my hat?
So yeah, Hawk and Rev are in the house. And so is my wine. I've refilled.
Yes.
Cheers.
There's sparkling water.
Thanks for watching the movie, folks.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate it.
Pause on that. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna kick off this Q&A with a little bit of history on the origin story of Hawk and Rev. So, what's the origin story?
Hawk and Rev was a very serious script about very serious post 9/11 script about a similar security guard to Trump to Hawk.
Oh,
Was that was a Freudian slip. Who misidentified some racial stereotypes connected to the post 9/11 kind of terroristic paranoia. And it was a very serious script that was way too serious, and I didn't want to make it. And I talked to Ari about it. He agreed it was too serious. And then one day I said, hey, wouldn't it be funnier if these guys were misidentified as vampires? And then that kind of became the touchstone for the campiness of it. And then many drafts happened, many shoots happened. Yeah. And here we are now, 4 years later.
4 years later. Wow.
Yeah, from the very first shoot. Yeah. 4 years.
I totally forgot to do what I normally do, which was have you guys introduce yourselves, say what you did on the film. So okay. I'm going to backtrack. So, Ryan.
I'm Ryan Barton-Grimley. I directed and wrote and played Hawk, and did some editing, a lot of color correcting, some VFX, and that's about it.
Things like that.
Hi, my name is Ari. I feel like I was about to say something else. No, I am Ari Schneider. I am Rev. I am one of the producers, and I also worked on the score with the talented Robbie Elfman, who is the other composer. What else is it? Did I do anything else?
Lots of things.
Lots of stuff. Lots of post stuff. Yeah. All sorts of. Yeah.
There were days we set up a pup tent when it was 25 degrees. You remember?
Yeah, no, we did we tell the story about the flu missing the bachelor party, that whole thing?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay,
no,
we just did
I don't think I've heard that story. You
man.
Tell it.
I blew it. No, well, I have to now. But the blood. So the scene with the blood and all that stuff. We did that in how cold was it in Malibu? Like at 20 degrees or something.
So
like
it's January in LA, which is usually 70 degrees. But at the national park or the state park we're shooting at up in Malibu Canyon, it was 25 degrees that night, and so it was freezing.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody in the crew was wearing masks and shams to keep their faces warm, and they had ice crystals, and we were shooting blood all over ourselves.
We did for like a week.
Yeah. And Ari got so sick he missed his bachelor party.
Yeah, I was getting married in a month, and I got because the first night, I guess when I got cold, the second night we smartened up and had like thermals underneath and hand warmers and all that stuff, and someone actually burned themselves with one of the hand warmers.
Yeah, Jasper.
Yeah, he has like
hand warmers like you would have all over his.
We all did it. We put it.
Yeah,
everywhere.
all over his chest, and he has permanent burn scars now.
Oh my God.
So yeah, but yes, I did. I ended up having to miss. We were just going to go to the Big Bear anyway, but they're like, you're not going anywhere.
No.
The doctor. So.
Those
But I don't know why that's happening, guys. Sorry about that.
The crackle.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right. At least we can hear you. Without it, it was very difficult. You were very soft spoken.
Yeah.
When we couldn't hear you.
To be that way, except for when I play Hawk.
Ryan is actually a fairly soft-spoken guy.
So tell me about the writing process. I mean, one of the things that really stands out about Hawk and Rev is just the banter between Hawk and Rev. I mean, was there like, was there improvisation elements involved? Did you guys like work on that together, or did that all just tumble out of your head, Ryan? And Ari just kind of went with it, or how did the banter and relationship develop between the two characters?
It's D, all of the above.
Yeah.
So I mean, we worked together on Elijah's Ashes, and we played. Ari was the lead, and I played supporting his brother. We'd also been in a two-man improv group together. We'd written a whole bunch of stuff together. I mean, I did the script for this, but I was like, whatever we say that pops into our head that works with the scene that's written, like, let's go with that. Let's make it the most real. So we had a lot of fun on set with that stuff. I mean,
yeah, this movie is really kind of lends itself to that if you're still cutting it very tightly. And because I think with the previous film we did, that script was pretty tight. If you were to divert off, the story would change. You have to kind of keep to what's going on. With this one, I mean, not a lot. I mean, they have one goal. So there were a lot of just and Ryan and I know each other so well that I feel like we can kind of follow each other, or he can follow me. Let's just put it that way.
We both listen. We both listen to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we were standing there, and we're both big fans of 80s and kitschy, corny stuff. So for us to kind of riff on stuff is not a problem. Actually, stopping the riffing is the issue.
You never called cut. I don't think you ever called cut on riff. I would sometimes say, "Hey, can you wait for a pause before calling cut?" There's like a button, but I don't think that ever happened. Yeah.
I mean, the only time I felt awkward enough to call cut was when we were doing some kind of emotional thing, and I was just like, "Oh, this feels weird. What movie are we in now?" And cut.
Some sort of one of the three emotions.
Yeah, I mean, the issue cutting this movie was that we had we had executed well so many jokes.
Yeah,
there was so much banter that it felt all banter, and so we went. I cut it. Doug Mueller cut it. Jeremy Wanick, the VFX guy, wonderful guy, cut it. Matt Latham cut it down. I mean,
a lot of good people, really. Yeah.
We just had so many jokes. It was like throwing blue paint on the blue wall. We had to kind of pull it back and just to kind of get that kind of through like a feature and not a whole bunch of web series put together. That was really the issue. This is so weird.
Well, I think that's testament to the music also, like, a lot of that is the score, and then a lot of that is also just independent artists that we were able to utilize, who I have so much time for, and I hope that their music was justified.
It's like 48 independent artists in this movie.
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
And just I hope that doing them justice, and that because the music really did heighten a lot of those scenes, whether it be a comedic montage or whatever. So that was also just a big part of having free reign of how we wanted to paint. If we had this banter, all right, well, let's justify it.
Yeah.
How do we make it part?
Well, I mean, the music was definitely a highlight, and as we were talking about, the comments that people were making as the movie was going along, I did see a lot of comments about how great the music was. So
these guys,
somebody just asked if the soundtrack would be available.
I mean,
we're hoping so. I mean, we're
get distribution.
Yeah, we're just trying to get the damn thing out to as many people, so as many people can have fun watching it as possible.
Yeah,
worldwide, like not just North America. We're gonna play Molins in Spain. I really hope we get to kind of just play in Europe, because I think they'll really enjoy it, and South America and Asia as well. And yeah, heck, man, if people wanna jump on board with the soundtrack, why not?
Yeah, that's another.
T-shirts and beer koozies, I'd be into it.
Dude, writing original songs for an indie comedy horror film was something that Didn't take a lot of convincing, actually, because it was just like Django, and you're like, Django.
Westerns.
Why not? Yeah.
John Carpenter. Yes.
So,
and then Ari threw in his, intangible taste, which was, hey, what about this track that sounds like Beyonce?
yeah.
Like this is the opposite of what you expect here. And I'm like, yeah.
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 Yeah. Yes and a lot, man. I was thoroughly impressed. There were
my instinct with music is to go on the nose and overdo it in
some
dark, weird way. So
I will say the one thing about the music that I did get paranoid about, and I spoke about this before, is that I think you were out of town. You're like, I just really wanted the stuff to be scary. Like, I know we have the comedy, but I really want it to be scary. And I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, that's just gonna happen. Like, unless I play like Benny Hill music over it, it's not gonna. It's gonna be scary. Like, because it's funny because I sent you one of the scenes with like 8 different,
right,
and I included the 8th one. I was like, it's so Scooby Doo. He's not gonna want that one. That one's so, and of course you're like number 8. That's the one. I'm like, you have no idea what you want. I'm sorry. Go ahead again.
Ryan, we've lost you.
We lost you, buddy. But
sorry, did you come back?
You came back.
Okay. No, I'm just saying, like, my instinct was to keep going dark and really aggressive to kind of mimic Hawk, but it was the wrong instinct, because at the end of the day, you want to make fun of the fact that Hawk is aggressive.
Yeah.
Which it was an evolution of like trying to pull back from being like too on the nose,
mm-hmm.
and be more satirical.
All right, so we got some questions from our online audience. The question is, what were some of your influences for the film? I could feel in every frame and line of dialogue a complete love of the vampire genre. Seemed like you both had a lot of fun making the film. So the question, after a couple of compliments, is what were some of the influences for the film?
I mean, Big Trouble in Little China is a big influence.
I will drink to that. Don't drink to Jack Burton. May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Right. I love it. Lost Boys was a big influence.
Lost Boys.
Westerns were a big influence.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead is a big influence in it, but also just the banter is straight out of Lethal Weapon. I mean, it's just right out of Shane Black, and
it's very nerd. It's a very like
nerdy movie.
A lot of the inspiration came from a very nerdy. I mean, Ryan wrote the script, but like as far as the way we kind of took it, like we definitely. I'm sorry to keep going back to the music, but like that's where you kind of get like, okay, we're starting to understand the tone of the movie. I'm like, Ryan, I think this is more. It is horror. We got those scenes, but there's a lot of comedy too. It's so they're just going to be battling each other. And I think because I'm more of a comedy guy. Like I like horror films a lot, but Ryan is more the. You've seen probably way more horror films than I have.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I guess this was a perfect. I mean, I hope it was a blend of just like, because you do also comedy as well, but like I just think that us bringing those different elements and allowing each other to kind of like,
I mean, we were all in agreement in the sappy, over melodramatic tone of all those 80s movies, whether they were action movies or Lost Boys or Nightmare on Elm Street, or they were all really campy, but we also kind of wanted to put our kind of early 90s flavor on it, I think, is what
made us laugh nerdily. Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, whatever made us like giggle, like hopefully nobody's watching. We just giggled about that stupid thing, and let's try to make that part of the story. So, I
mean, if anything, through all the reshoots, it just, it kept really, it centered it, like it kept kind of focusing in the references and like the style, and I mean we kept kind of an organic modern style to the actual like shooting and cutting of it, but like it's all like hey, even these characters within the script love those movies. You know what I mean? It's not just us as producers and writers and filmmakers and actors. It's even like the characters and the scripts are obsessed with it.
Yeah, it got to the point where like even
it's pretty meta.
Like doing a button line that you didn't like was a throwaway line, like the Batman nipples. Like he's the Batman with the nipples when they're talking about George Clooney. Like we ADR'd that at a different, like that was like a random ADR thing that we snuck in there and worked. Yeah. So those things actually I feel like are the lanterns in the movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
So a question from the audience is, with all the crazy things that you filmed, did anything funny happen on set? Like people wondering what you guys were doing, etc. I mean, did you have any kind of like any shenanigans or any craziness that that happened on the set?
That's pretty much our experience, isn't it? How do we not get arrested?
Listen, we shot the first shoot was only 2 weeks long, right? Seriously.
That's right.
And we are setting up for our two-day long Magnificent Seven like showdown, like is in the movie now, but it was at the warehouse location, and we got shut down in the middle of the night, and we could never go back there, man. So
yeah.
Yeah,
for no reason
and 12 cops came in through the security gate that had kind of protected us from that neighborhood for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and somebody had reported that there was some kind of assault happening there, and we I mean that was one of the crazier things. And I mean, this is the kind of director I am, and Ari will attest to this. We were in the middle of shooting a take when those guys came in.
Yeah.
And I was like, just keep rolling until they come up here and stop us. And they did. And we got the heck out of there. And the interesting thing is each time we hit some kind of real adversity, you know, even at the beach, like I just
say that last part again. You
just
cut out.
At the beach, I got totally sunburned, you know, and like I was like so red, and Audrey's like trying to put stuff on me, and that looks funnier because like the sweat is color. It's
I think anything. Yeah, I think anytime we're gonna do something embarrassing,
turning them into positives, you know.
Yeah, like anything we're gonna do that's embarrassing in public, like because we just are like, how embarrassing more can we do it? Because first, we were both going to have our shirts off while we were doing the Tai Chi. And then we came up with the idea with the rainbow colored, like onesie that Rev wears. And so Audrey made that. And she made it. I was like, I got to wear okay, I'll wear that shirt.
And there are plenty of looks we got from that. I mean, you know.
I mean, that was the least. Yeah.
How did you guys approach the nudity in the film?
Wow. Yes.
It was freezing. It was like 4 a.m.
Oh, stop making
Or like, can we just go home? Like, do we have to do this?
So that actually is a funny story though. So because we were doing that in an area where, you know,
it's a rough area.
It was not this is an area you want to have, you know, just be nude at 3 a.m. in the middle.
Somebody might offer you money if you start showing your bits in that area.
It was a little iffy. It was a little iffy there. But I do remember that, like, for the takes, poor Richard, who's awesome, Richard Gaylor.
Yeah.
Who plays,
best.
Yeah, who plays Jasper. And he's a fantastic actor. But to mess with him a little bit, because he's the nicest guy in the world, but he's playing such a dark character. Like when it was his takes, I still kept taking my clothes off. And he's like, you don't have to do that. I'm like, I know. I'll still stop. I won't keep doing it, but we're here and I just want to give you all.
I'm like, he's a method actor.
Just keep it going, buddy.
Keep doing it.
You know, so I mean, it got silly. But yeah.
That's fun. All right. So another question from the audience is, I need to know how Hawk and Rev met. How did these guys become friends?
I mean, are they friends? I don't know. They're sort of odd ducks, you know?
They kind of became friends by, I think, just by proxy, because the two lone, you know, dudes who don't really have anybody. And
Look, Rev just
We
showed
did have
up, and Hawk's paranoid. So of course Hawk saw Rev showing up probably before Rev even showed up on the premises. But naturally, Rev is so out there, he doesn't need anybody. But Hawk really needs a friend. You know? I think he needs Rev far more than Rev needs him.
It's interesting. Somebody was I can't remember who was talking about this, but like, you know, you get to know Hawk's family and his whole life, but like, for all you know, if it wasn't for other characters, Rev could just be in his like in his mind, you know, kind of like the rumors of like Donnie and the Big Lebowski, or, you know, like there's like
his Jiminy Cricket.
But he's not true. Yeah,
like Jiminy Cricket.
Rev's kind of a theory, like he exists, he's a real dude, but like he's not, like he says he's a pacifist, but he's not, because he's the most violent you know, he's always getting angry, and he tries. But
well, to be fair, Hawk pushes him there.
He does. It's a lot of, he's just a bunch of oxymorons. So I think that
Hawk's just all moron.
Hawk's just all moron.
Not just an oxy. So tell me more about this Big Lebowski Donnie theory.
Oh yeah.
Somebody, I don't know now that there's going to be a lot of people. Well, the people who are watching this, they're going to call me out because I'm not exact on this, but I remember someone saying that if the dude hadn't say this, if Donnie hadn't said one line to the dude or something about his phone ringing, or like, thanks Donnie, that's the only time the dude acknowledges Donnie in the entire movie. For the rest of the entire movie, it's just Walter. I don't know if that, except for the ending.
Walter cusses him out, but the dude doesn't really.
But if you watch the movie, like the dude pretty much like Donnie doesn't need to be there, and the exchanges between Walter and somebody had some theory that like Donnie didn't really exist, but then somebody and then the Coen brothers are like, oh, that's an interesting. So they're like, okay, well,
they're like, how do we get the dude on the cliff with the ashes blowing in his face?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we killed Donnie.
It's one of those. I doubt it was. Yeah. It's one of those fans.
It's an interesting theory, though. I actually, you know, I am a huge Lebowski fan, and I actually had not heard that theory, which I'm really surprised.
We're pretty big Coen Brothers fans.
Yeah, massive.
I mean, I don't think anything I've ever made would exist without those guys. You know?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Talk about dialogue, guys. Those guys. I remember reading something about that. Sorry, getting off topic here, but I remember seeing an interview with Jeff Bridges and John Goodman saying all those little uhs and mans and oohs, they're all in that script. Like every little sound.
So crazy.
Like, man, that's nuts. I love it. Yeah.
It's such a great script. You know, now we've talked about two of my favorite movies in this. We talked about Big Trouble in Little China and Big Lebowski, my two favorite big movies. And those are the two movies that I watched alone on my birthday in March when we first locked down.
Oh wow!
For Corona, because I couldn't have a party, so I just sat alone in my living room drinking my wine and watching the Big Lebowski and Big Trouble in Little China.
And now
those are pick-me-ups. Come on.
They were great, and I actually live messaged them. I did it on Facebook, and I would like do quotes and stuff. So, I mean, it felt like maybe people were there with me. All right, so we have another question. Did the story start shifting after your first initial cut? Just curious to how much additional photography you had to shoot in comparison to principal photography.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, we got shut down, didn't have an ending. So we went back 3 times.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was all on a shoestring. It was all, we were literally producing and ordering food and doing everything and moving lights with Sean Ayers, the DP, and then shooting it. I mean, we did this. Yeah, we probably got about 28 days total, including some ADR here and there as well. The story didn't really shift. What happened was the ending really grew. So we got a mulligan when we got shut down, man, which was amazing because we went back and we got some really key little bits that kind of solidified and clarified some things, and then we got to do the ending. We got to add Terry to the ending. Remember, we didn't even have
that was
Terry. Terry like walked through the ending before, drank his drink, and then walked off weirdly into the darkness. And we were like, no, dude,
it's a wasted Terry.
We need gore here. We need to really amp this up. This is just pathetic, and I just felt so bad about it. But it was an amazing mulligan that we got. And I mean, we just kept trying to. I mean, Ari did this with the music with Robbie Elfman as well. Is that we just kept going back, like cutting wise, we tested 5 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with actual groups of people, and that's not just sending the cut to people. And I mean, we really took those notes seriously, went back and cut it, and then retested to see kind of, because it's a horror and a comedy, and the tone is weird and it's meta, and we're trying to balance it all out with music and performances.
Yeah.
I mean, we
do like
really,
pros and cons of like the scenes here, like weighing them, like it's
we cut probably from the first cut to now probably 40 minutes cut out.
Yeah, there's
a lot of darlings on that floor, man.
Can I talk about the Band-Aid? Is that a little trivia?
Do
it. So you'll know at the end of the movie, Rev has no one's called it out, and that's fine because it's technically an action scene. But Rev has a Band-Aid on his head. I think it's a unicorn.
Yeah, it's a rainbow unicorn.
Yeah, it's a rainbow unicorn, and because we shot that scene sequence, and what was originally there in the story is there's a bit of a tussle, and like Jasper throws. We were gonna do some sort of CGI thing where like he throws him against like a dumpster or something. And
we had Rev getting thrown across that entire warehouse parking lot, like with a green screen. We were gonna, oh my god!
But it's funny because even
thank God we didn't do that.
What's there, like, when we also show that Rev, like, no, you're not gonna. I wouldn't. I mean, I didn't. I watched it and I didn't question it. I'm like, why is he in a band? Like, I didn't, and I'm pretty picky, so I don't know.
I think it adds to his character.
Just adds to it, and also some time has passed.
He's a happy warrior, man.
I obviously haven't thought about this a lot.
Happy warrior.
Yeah.
So as things were progressing along with the movie and the live chatting was happening, Terry seems to have quite a following.
Yeah.
Had quite a few fans in this particular screening.
It's been that way.
Will we see Terry again?
Absolutely.
It's going to take a little bit of work, but we will definitely make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, Kevin Ocampo. I met Kevin at Groundlings, and Ari actually randomly met him at Second City in a totally separate incident. And then at the same time, we realized we both knew him.
We both really liked him. We're like, this guy,
because he's an amazing. He's an amazing actor, and he just has a very different quality because he really seems like a Midwestern accountant, like Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Also, this really, he has the most interesting background and look because he can literally play any race. It's crazy, and he's the funniest fucking guy.
A great improviser,
smart.
Yeah,
and I mean,
you and I were in a show together for years. This all ages improv show at Second City called The Really Awesome Improv Show, and I mean, he's just good dude.
I'm amazed that he's not like the lead of a Netflix show or something.
Well, somebody just wrote in the comments that in the sequel, Rev has to get a girlfriend.
I mean, we're talking about Rev, or yes. No,
Hawk can never have a girlfriend. People just leave.
Well, Hawk, that's a good point. Well, so I'm all for it, just for the record. But we talked about all this stuff with Rev because he's, got some possible powers now. I really wanted to do
supernatural.
I would love to do with the budget a little bit bigger on this next one. I'm hoping maybe like 5-10 mil, just at the like doing a Blade opening of just Rev, and then that's his reveal.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping. and then he gets a girlfriend. Just stop me at any point. Yeah,
she's got to be like in her 60s and teach women's studies.
Yeah,
glasses with things.
Yeah, there's so many. There were actually, I mean, that was another thing we cut out too. There was this whole thing of
Rev being a virgin.
Yeah, this back and forth about Rev being a virgin that we both were just like, this is low hanging fruit. We don't need this.
I was like, I just want to torture you with these virgin lines. You're like, just stop. Stop with the virgin.
Yeah, I hated it. But I will say this though, for as much of the stuff that I hated and the stuff that you pulled, and I was like, no, that's really funny. I'm so glad you pulled. I mean, you're the director, but like, I'm so glad that you did, because you saw things that I did, like jokes that I thought were really funny, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad you pulled that joke.
Well, you guys need to put the film out, get a distribution and put the film out on, Blu-ray with, all of the 40 minutes of deleted scenes.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, man. There's all this great footage of Theo and the band standing in front of the SUV, like cheering and chanting for the ending that never happened in the warehouse. Oh
yeah, that's right. We shot all that. Yeah. We shot their reaction to an ending that never happened.
And they're like the sad cousins of the nihilists in the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, they are. They're like the nicer version of the nihilists. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not. This movie really was just the vampire version. The
Big Lebowski. Vampire version of the Big Lebowski.
I mean, hey,
it's Snell's space. They don't really. Yeah.
For years, I've just been saying, look, you can take any really fun movie that's iconic, that isn't horror, right? And then add a horror twist to it and kind of mess it up a bit and really lean into the horror. And then you've suddenly got some amazing thing that also is a touchstone to people because they kind of understand it because it's an iconic thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like our ending wouldn't exist without the Magnificent Seven. You go back and watch that original movie and you'll be like, oh my God, that's funny.
Magnificent Seven in the
All right, guys, we need to wrap up. And so my standard wrap-up question is, what's next for the Hawk and Rev team? What do you guys got going on? What can we look forward to in the near future?
Well, we got this Listen Carefully movie that's in the can, and we've done 2 tests. It needs a little more cutting, but it's pretty close, and it's like Jacob's Ladder for new parents. I play assistant bank manager, and Ari plays 50 people.
Kind of, yeah. I'm mainly a voice, just messing with Ryan. Ryan plays kind of the straight man, and it's a workout for you, man. It's
a little more personal of a movie, a little weirder, not as funny. We're gonna work on that though. That's the bit we're adding back in, but hopefully that thing will be done in the spring and be out hitting festivals. We'll see.
That was shot during the downtime in this movie. That was like in between.
Exactly.
We actually hadn't finished the movie, had we? I don't think we had.
No.
So should.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I really want. I like I was saying to JT earlier. I really wanted to try and shoot a movie during COVID, but SAG was not having it. So.
Yeah.
Yep. The unions.
But
that note, we're gonna call an evening for this Q&A. All right, thank you guys so much for hanging out and doing a Q&A for everyone. Based on the comments that I was seeing as the film's going along, people really enjoyed the movie. It's a lot of fun. It's really got some fabulous, dialogue and witty banter, and the characters are really genuinely lovable.
Thank
you guys have created something really fun and unique and special.
Thank you for championing us, dude. We really appreciate it.